Yo, what's up, lovely people? Right, welcome to the BFX channel once again. It's another day, another blessed day. It's a Wednesday, and yes, indeed, I don't even know what to say, guys, but yes, welcome to the BFX channel. Right, today was, another day, with GBPJPY, where we took a trade, earlier this morning that stopped us out, right? Which I made a mistake, right? I made a mistake. I keep preaching to you guys. Let the trade make sense. Let the trade make sense. Your confirmations will be three or more. And yes, in this scenario, the pastor didn't practice what he preaches. So he had to learn the hard way, which I did. Right. So yes, I kind of was caught up in the moment, right? I kind of was supposed to get about three confirmations and the trade, like itself. I just added stuff up. And personally, guys, sometimes you just have to stay away from the charts. You know that this is the time that I kind of get opportunities. Right, this is the time that the markets make sense. So this is the time I'll be looking. This is the time I'll be trading to kind of be on the safer side. And guys, like the most kind of funny part, like should I say funny part or annoying part, you know, right in the New York session, the trade itself came through, but guess what? We missed the we missed the guys. I'll be sharing my screen with you guys so you guys see what I'm talking about. We missed it, right? Very, very nice trade we could have caught, right? But it turned out that yeah, we missed it because of the mistake I made earlier, right? So yes, lesson very, very, very well learned. That's number one, right? And yes, the number two is as I said earlier, just it's kind of like as I'm learning, I'm kind of transferring. We are all in this together, right? It's very important, guys. You don't just say come to this channel, watch, and just not get anything from this video. I keep bringing to you guys. If you're watching these videos, I keep bringing to you guys. You have to be learning something. Not just watch for nothing, for clouds or nothing. All right. So I made a mistake. I realized that okay, now I was kind of stay away from the market at that time, at that particular time, and wait for the right time to take the right trade. Right. So yes, lesson well learned. Right. I'll be sharing my screen with you guys. In fact, let's get into the chat. Guys, this is my GBPJPY screen. You guys can see after yesterday's win, which was for the Tuesday, right? We took an L just this morning, right? I took a sell on GG, which was uh a mistake I made, right? A mistake I made. I took a sell here. At this point, I should have waited for I should have waited for the landing session. Like from my past trades, right? And I've not kind of taken a trade, in the landing session or even pre-landing, right? This was pre-landing because this trade was, uh, you know, about 7 a.m., right? So it was 7, and yep, landing session starts at 8, right? But 8 landing session is started, right? So yes, I took this sell here, which was a mistake of me. I had gotten an area of interest here, a cycle level, but the trade didn't kind of make sense, right? As I always keep telling you guys, I made a mistake, I got caught with what I've been saying. I should have kind of as I was saying, I don't kind of take trades during the landing, right? So yes, I took this sell here, as I was saying, like the trade didn't make sense, right? As I always keep saying, logic about everything, logic, right? Logic. And yet I just got caught out in the moment, right? Sometimes even you, the pastor who preaches, right? You get caused by your own words, right? Yeah, but lesson well learned, right? But we did miss the trade, like a very, very nice trade. As I already said earlier, we did miss the trade. You can see that we had this area of interest here, we had the first touch, we had the second touch, we got the third touch, we got the fourth, we got the fifth, right? You got the fifth touch here, right? So upon this sixth touch, right, guys, which was in the New York which from my past trades that I've been taking, right? You can testify that it's what New York, right? Guys, we could have got in. This was around 2, this was around 2 p.m., right? And guys, you had this rejection for more, this area of interest, right? So yes, my stop loss, as you guys already know, I had a 15 pip stop loss here, and just a 1:4, guys, 1:4. And just look at how nice this trade would have been. How nice this trade would have been, guys. How nice. But well, we turned out that we missed this trade, right, guys? We missed this trade. We could have just avoided this one and focused on this. But the market happens, right? And it's just about the lessons, right? It's the lessons, right? I'm already learning. I've learned a lot. I've learned my lesson, and the mistakes is no it's not going to repeat itself, again, right? So yeah, guys, it's cool. Let's see what the rest of the days has for us, right? But so far the market has been good. All right. There you guys saw the trade, like you saw it for yourself. Nice, sweet setups, but was missed. Then the painful one that kind of like took us out. Very harsh, bro. Very, very harsh. But it's all good. Just learning. Like learning. Every day. Adding up to your arsenal. Come on, bro. You get to that point. You get to the peak, and you are kind of like like painless. Nothing like you've seen it all. So you know how to kind of like move when some things are coming up, right? Most importantly, guys, if I just want you guys to like get wisdom, knowledge from what I'm kind of like putting out. It's not just for watching sake. If I'm making losses, I'm making profits. The reason how I made it. What made me to enter the trade. Did I make a loss? Okay. What did you learn? What did I learn? Right? What did you learn from the loss I made? I made a win. It was a take profit. Okay, yeah. What did you learn? Right? What did you learn from the video? Right? So guys, just do yourself good and try and get understanding, right? If there is something you feel that I can kind of like touch more on, you put it in the comment section so I address it, right? I hope this video you really enjoyed it. I really appreciate your effort, your time being here to kind of like support. It's big effects your boy. I really appreciate your until we meet again next time. Peace out.